Hi everyone. Welcome to ACAD Asia. ACAD Asia is a Singapore-based impact-driven edtech startup that empowers the largest online community of education institutions and educators in Asia to upskill and reskill themselves to improve the learning outcomes for their 21st century learners. On acadasia.com, educators can access 4 specific services. First, Calibrate, a social networking service that empowers education institutions to build their international network from all over Asia, and where individual educators can join a wide range of communities of teaching learning practice and engage in peer-to-peer learning. Second, Skill Ed, a professional development service that empowers educators to upskill and reskill themselves by accessing more than 1,000 hours of professional development content, all with formal CPD accreditations. In addition to this, academic managers from education institutions can track, measure, and improve the efficacy of all professional development that their faculty access on the platform, thus leading to better learning outcomes for their students. Third, Design Ed, the easiest course builder on the planet. In 5 simple steps, this service empowers educators to build fun, engaging, and quality content for their learners. Furthermore, third-party tools like Canva, Google, etc. are fully integrated right into Design Ed. Fourth, Certify Ed, a digital credentialing service that empowers education institutions to design, award, and track fully verifiable and tamper-proof digital micro-credentials and certificates on the blockchain. Join the largest community of educators in Asia who are already using the platform and sign up for your free lifetime membership at www.acadasia.com today.
All right. Hello and welcome again, everybody. So excited to be here. I am Roy Platon, the co-founder and chief community officer of ACAD Asia. We are a mission-driven, impact-driven edtech business, and we are here to empower educators everywhere. So glad to be here with all of you again. It's time flies by so fast. We just had our webinar Wednesday last week, and today we have, as part of our weekly series, Technology Tuesdays. So ACAD Asia Technology Tuesdays, usually we feature or showcase different edtech tools and technologies that can hopefully help you, our dear educators and friends, make your jobs easier as educators so that you can actually provide excellent online learning experiences or use these technologies to further enhance your pedagogy, improve your instruction and assessments, and hopefully make your lives easier as you do your teaching with your learners. So again, very happy to have all of you again here today. Just a quick shout out again to our audience, of course, Philippines. Hello, good evening to all of you. Magandang gabi. Thanks for joining us today. And of course, we have friends, of course, from Singapore and from India. And we also have some friends from, I think we have a couple of friends also from the other countries. So thank you so much again for joining Technology Tuesdays. And today we have a very special activity. Let me just share my screen really briefly. If you can see the string. So today we'll be talking about this technology using Literatu to teach English. Okay, in particular, we'll be using the Scribo app and other related technologies that Literatu AI has, so we can actually enhance our English teaching practice. So specifically for our English educators out there, I think this technology will be super useful for you. So if you go to ACAD Asia, you will see our session has been posted here today. So please invite all your friends to join so that you can actually view our session. Okay, so I'll just give a brief introduction of our topic and our speaker today. As you know, today on Technology Tuesdays, we have an interesting new technology. So Literatu offers AI-powered tools to advance English literacy skills and data-driven teaching. It transforms education through research-based best practice applications built to solve the challenging problems across K-12 up to college, university, and ESL adult learning. So even English as second language adult learning is included. And today we'll be demonstrating how you can use this tool. Possibly, if you find it interesting, you can use it to further help your students improve their English literacy skills. I think especially for our teachers in the Philippines, while we teach English here pretty often, it's always good to kind of continue to sharpen the saw, improve our skills in terms of the language, and maybe these tools will be interesting for you. You can use in your own teaching practice. Um, Specifically to guide us through how to use these tools and how we can maximize using this in our English courses and classes, I'd like to introduce our speaker for this evening. So he actually is a experienced managing director, and he has a demonstrated history of working in the computer software industry. He's familiar with business processes, requirements analysis, enterprise software entrepreneurship, and enterprise architecture. He has strong entrepreneurship skills, and he graduated from the Institute of Chartered Accountants in Australia. But today he comes to us as the CEO and founder of Literatu, the company behind Scribo, which it's a tool that creates AI technology to improve English writing skills of students and saves time for teachers. He and his team have been building Scribo for the past 4 years and have had the opportunity to collaborate with thousands of English and content teachers in schools across the globe. And we're very happy to have them along with us here at the Acad Asia community. Without further ado, I'm very happy to introduce. You saw him last week. He's joining us again today. CEO of Literatu, Mr. Mark Stanley, joining us from Sydney, Australia. Mark, good to have you again.
Good evening, everybody. Lovely to be here, Roy.
Yes, fantastic. And I'm sure from last week, they already, especially for our regular viewers, they would have probably seen you and are very familiar with your sharings from last week. And I think they found it very interesting. We got a lot of positive feedback from that. So we're very happy to have you again for Technology Tuesday activity today.
Yeah. I won't keep everybody long, but I hope to keep everybody very excited.
Absolutely, and maybe a little later we'll probably have a quick demo of the course and your own tools and how they use Literatu and Scribo, and of course how we can actually use AI. Maybe you can start a little bit about that, a little bit of commentary. There's an article that we've been sharing with the community where how they can actually use technology and AI for several ways in terms of improving or making their job easier in terms of online teaching. So in that article, it says, we got this from trainingmag.com. It says that, they can actually use AI and technology to help with education in terms of task automation, personalized learning, providing universal access to students, smart content creation, also teaching the teacher. And that's exactly what we're doing here. All these training programs are for upskilling our educators. It also helps identify classroom weaknesses. So if there are challenges in the classroom and classroom management or the students, it can actually help. AI can help answer those, as well as provide some sort of assistance. So in terms of chatbots or immediate response to common questions, would you agree, Mark, that these are the things that AI can do so that they can make teaching easier?
Yeah, look, you have to really start with the fundamental principle that the teacher is the most important person in the room. And the second thing about a teacher is they're completely outnumbered from the minute they walk in, right? So yes. It's hard to manage the diversity of learning skills and the diversity of interest, in the lesson itself. So like engagement is a big thing, and time is the other thing. You've got 45 minutes. 15 minutes of that is teaching time. A lot of the other time bleeds out into other things. So time, engagement are critical. Teachers are really important. So if you can get something doing the work for you, amplifying your impact for you, it's a good thing. And that's what AI, in fact, it shouldn't be called artificial intelligence in schools. It should be called additional instructor.
Yeah.
It's another thing in the room that's right on it's on your team. It's working for you. It's helping you, and it's helping the students. So it's additional, and it's all about instruction. So if it's not doing that, what's it doing for you, really?
Absolutely, and I think that's what technology is supposed to do, to help you as really assisting the education experience and helping you make your job easier. I'd like to call in. I think his connection is now okay. I'd like to invite maybe some comments from our experienced Philippine educator, 20 years plus experience in the education field. I'd like to call on the stage Jake. Jake, please join us here. Hello.
Jake's back. Hey.
Hello, hi, Roy and Mark, and to all the teachers are joining us tonight.
Yeah,
Uh,
Jake. So today we'll be kind of having Technology Tuesday, and Mark will be demonstrating us how Scribo and Literatu can actually use AI to further make technology easier. I ran down a couple of pointers in how that article we referenced can actually
right.
help teachers. Would you agree with this, Jake? I mean, have you seen some samples in your experience of how technology can actually, let's say, make teachers have an easier time in building their lesson plans? And not just English, and I know we're tackling English today specifically, but maybe other subject matter areas, how they can organize their classroom and how to manage student interaction. Have you seen certain activities like that? And can you share about how technology can actually help teachers?
Right, Roy, and Mark. There have been some experiments. Some teachers, courageously trying out many edtech tools and apps. But the concept of AI, at least in the Philippines, is something that we're not fully familiar with. Something that we still would want to be able to see from maybe more experts or more experienced educators, because again, because of the differences in availability of resources, and just the general unfamiliarity with artificial intelligence in education. Um, it, 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 it it's not something that that's easily used, or something that we can
Yeah.
confidently talk about in terms of experience, at
It's
least in
not
the
that common
Philippines.
yet, right, Jake?
Exactly. So
Yeah.
we're very excited to learn from Mark through Literatu and Scribo, what can actually be done to help the teachers. And as you said, Mark, I totally agree. An additional instructor, right? We were very excited to learn more about it.
Yeah, look,
Yeah,
don't
that
get caught up in the technology side of it. That's something that gets, it either works for you really well and you come back to it, or it doesn't and you don't come back to it. It's pretty binary. But I think you
Right.
should always pursue having that additional, you know, influence, that additional instruction in your classroom, because it's a really big job, and you need to get every break you can, really.
Yeah, and I think this provides us an opportunity, especially those who are, seeing AI applied in the classroom for the first time. Not all schools or teachers have the luxury of having teacher aides or teaching assistants, uh,
Yeah.
real human assistants, right? So maybe technology can provide some relief, some solutions to that. And for those in the audience, please don't forget, if you have any questions for Mark or Jake, or any of the Acad Asia team. If you want to share your thoughts and ideas, you can also do that. Please post in our Mentimeter link. We're showing that in our screen right now. We'll be also posting it in the chat of our different social media channels. If you want to chime in, keep those comments coming, and we show your interesting comments. We love hearing from you. So if you have any thing to share or questions to ask, please post that in our Mentimeter link and in the chat. All right. So with that, we'll give the floor to Mark so that he can kind of amaze us, hopefully, and show us some new stuff that we haven't seen before. So and then we'll come back to you later towards the end of the session. We'll probably spend around 40 minutes to an hour. Come back later for any other questions and housekeeping after that. So the floor is yours, Mark. Take it away.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, and good evening again. I couple of things that I don't want to do. I don't want to screen shock you. Okay, so what my presentation really is about is how people use the software. So how teachers use the software. It's not about the software. It's about how you can use the software. And I think it's a great way to start. Is that all good teachers construct the end from the beginning. So when you walk into that room, you absolutely know what you're trying to achieve as an end result. And what you have to do is stitch that journey together, right? Now, if you're teaching writing or biology or chemistry, whatever it is, you have to build things up, you have to get engagement, and you have to end in a spot for it to be what you want it to be, and as effective as it possibly can be. And along that journey, there's lots of things that get in the way, right? It just happens, you're outnumbered. So McKinsey in 2020, pretty recently, did a big study with teachers, and the study was, basically, where does my time go, right? Now, this is a teacher, this is the average teacher in across the world is working 50 hours. Now that's 50 hours. That's a lot of hours, right? And this is where the time goes. 10.5 hours in lesson prep, 16.5 in the instruction and engagement, 6.5 in evaluation and feedback, 4.5 in coaching. Now, that equation is all wrong straight away, right? You are the coach, but you're not spending any time doing that. So admin's always going to be admin. That's PD, that's discipline, that's, stuff, parent calls, interviews, all sorts of things. But this is the core of what's going on. So 49% of the time of teachers is not in front of students, and that's a real shame. So this is where, if we keep doing what we're doing, this is what we're going to get, right? So how do you change the mix? So this is the real thing that we need to find ways to move forward. Now, we've had technology around for a long time, but this is very current, so it hasn't made the impact we need. So here's the opportunity. Where time can be redirected. We've proven through our stats that we can reduce the creation and lesson preparation time by 4 times, so you're down to 2 hours a week. The connection time, the time of instruction and engagement, with AI doing a lot of that for you with the students, again, we reduce it by 4 times. The calibration of feedback, the evaluation of where everyone is, again, a 4 times reduction. And the coaching side, a 4 times increase. And that's across 40 hours. So you've dropped 10 hours and you're moving to 72% of your time in front of students, and you're still doing the same amount of admin. So I'm going to show you how this can happen, because this is the reality of a teacher's life. It's done from a big study. We know where you started. You started here. Our challenge is to chip that down to something that is more effective in here. And that's why, the big why you would use technology. It's not going to help you teach English better. It's going to help you be more effective at teaching English. Okay. So what I want to do is move you through 4 phases tonight, and I'm going to jump the screens a bit. I'm going to be a teacher on one screen and a student on another screen. I'll tell you when I'm swapping, but I'm also going to use the software to actually take you through the software. Okay, so it's not a screen shock. It's actually going to be looking at live software and live use cases. Not too many, just enough to sort of think, wow, I'd like to know some more. Okay, so intro, I'll use Scribo and Presto to show you Scribo and Presto. Then we'll do that classic number 2 of we'll walk into a classroom with work in progress. We don't know where we are. We don't know where all the students are, but we'll find out very, very quickly. Okay, we'll have our eyes on the case real quickly. We'll use some AI to get some more insights into where the class is at as well. And then we'll jump over to the creation side. So if you remember the 4 words, right? There's create, which is lesson preparation. There's connect, which is in the classroom. There's calibrate, which means looking at what just happened. And there's coaching, which means picking it up at the back and making it work again from the front. So if it didn't work today, you know what you got to do? You got to make it work tomorrow. Okay, it's like it goes around in that circle repeats itself tomorrow. So the less times you spin around that circle in a topic, the more effective you're going to be. And then if we've got some more time, I'll show you some really fantastic things with how you can cut your scoring and peer review time down. Okay, so let's get out of here and let's go into Presto Learning. Now I've shared a link with Roy and Jake tonight, and it's going to be this. So hopefully in the course, I think it's in the course there somewhere, Roy, isn't it? Or Jake, the QR code. Now you can run this on your phone or you can run this on your computer. So click on the link or click on the QR code with your phone. You'll be working with me in the software. So you'll be my students tonight, and I'm a teacher presenting to you using the software.
Yeah, yes, Mark. We've added this to the course, and maybe we can ask the team to kind of add this to the chat. So we'll probably insert the
link. Yeah.
Insert the link in the chat so that people can follow along. All right.
Okay, great. So this is the delivery. Okay, and we'll come back to making one of these in later on. But this is you in a class. So we're using it right now. This is Presto. So I think this is a great saying by Seth Godin. Okay, technology begins by making old work easier, but it requires that new work be better. So don't go throwing out your photocopies unless you can get something better to replace them. All right, and that's what it's all about. So if you have your phone with you right now, I'll leave this for two or 3 seconds. Take a picture of that and you'll see this whole platform is designed to be mobile enabled, tablet enabled. We know students are everywhere and they have connectivity issues at home, at work, on the bus, on the train. You have to engage students, right? If the only place you can engage them is in your classroom, you've got to rethink that, because mobility is their life. Engagement is what you're trying to do. So if you've got a snap of that, we'll go on. So there are 2 products in the platform. One is called Presto, which means is Latin for fast, and the other one's called Scribo, which is the other one, which is Latin for writing. Okay, now Presto is what we're using here. It has just an amazing ability to create engagement. Scribo has an amazing ability to help students get better at writing. And we put these 2 together and we're engaging students in writing. And that's the formula, okay? So Presto itself is just all about micro course creation. It's all about being on the spot, being really ready, being very agile, being very tactile with your engagement, and delivery. It's all about delivery, nothing big and clunky and nothing working. If the PCs are having a problem today, get out your phone. We're in the game, right? We're in the room. So what we still see are teachers using paper, pencils. I get it, right? Why do you do it? Because you can write something on a page, you can photocopy it, and you hand out 30 things, and no technology slows you down, right? It's simple. The photocopier is still one of the biggest competitors in education technology today, right? Believe it or not. It's high speed. You know what you want to do. You sketch it out, you get it going, and you're in. The problem with that, the lows of doing that, is the engagement with students is down, right? They don't necessarily get excited about that sort of engagement. There was manual grading. When you handle that paper out, you know what it's going to do? It's going to come back to you. Okay, so you've got hours of paper management, you've got manual feedback, no insights. It's very hard to calibrate how you went, and you just spend all weekends carrying around boxes of paper. Okay, so then the next phase came in when we all said, "Oh, let's not do that. Let's go to PowerPoint. Let's go to Google. Let's put it all in there." So what you did was you basically rekeyed all of your stuff from one place into another place, hours of presentation work, and that's what you send out to students. So the high side of doing that is you get to do it in the way that you like to do it. But again, the low side is that PowerPoint is not the most exciting distribution mechanism you can get your hands on. It's still manual grading. You still have to link it up to the LMS. You got hours of, now you don't have paper management, you got digital management, right? You got files everywhere. And people put passwords on their files and all that stuff that happens. You still got your feedback manually happening. It's very hard to calibrate, and you've got no assessment. You've got content moving, but you've got no formative assessment behind it. So, we've taken a step forwards, but we haven't cracked the egg. And then along comes this thing called some AI support. So how could AI help bring all this together? You've got the ability to create. Remember those 4 words. You create assessments like this one. This Presto took me 2 minutes to put together. Okay. You create things like this. You connect with students in micro courses that make a macro impact. You calibrate automatically. This will catch responses and calibrate reporting and who's good at what. And you have more time for coaching. Bottom line. That's what it's all about. So that's what Presto does. Scribo is in the same technology family. It's the best way to connect and calibrate students writing better. It's, helping students write better. So again, it's this create, connect, calibrate, and coach. This is what it's all about. Create a writing engagement, connect it into your classroom, calibrate where your students are at, and be the teacher you need to be the coach. Okay, don't get caught up with the work. Now, if you're clicking along here, you can go forwards and backwards and all this stuff. I'm sure you've read right past me. But this is the sort of interface that you can get to, okay? You can have images. You can have text. You can have videos. You can, the speed at which you can create this content is mind-blowing. So what we're going to do now is basically head off into the Scribo world. We're going to go Scribo first. We're going to show you how we're going to assume a couple of things. We're going to assume we've got a class of students, assume there's a lot of writing activities already underway. We'll come back and create one later, and we'll have a look at, what's happening in their classroom. And we'll do it in a way that you'll find out really quickly within 10 seconds what's happening in their classroom across a whole range of students. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is leave the Presto for a second, and I'm going to go into my Scribo side of the software, and I'm going to open up the Mediterranean world, where we've been writing about the Mediterranean world, right? The ancient Egyptians and how they all did what they did. It's scored by a rubric. It knows what rubric we're using. It knows all that. Okay, so you've created that. Everything's in place. The topic that we gave the students was we wanted them to write about the ancient Egyptians and their belief systems. Okay, and over here on the right-hand side, 3 panels: the students in your class, what they're doing, and the feedback that Scribo's giving them, and their work on the left-hand side. So it's a 3-panel class overview. You can see all of your students, how many words they're up to, and what rubric score has been automatically created by the system. You haven't had to mark this. The system is telling you, according to your rubric, this student's getting 3 out of a possible 4. So they're doing quite well. Here is the feedback that Scribo's giving these students as they're working. So the students are on the other side of this with exactly the same interface as a teacher, working through all this feedback. Like, you've got a lot of simple sentences here, right? Now, we can say that to a year 9 student, because hopefully by year 9, they're starting to use more different, more varied sentence types. It's better writing to have compound, complex, and other forms of sentences than just simple sentences. So we make a bit of a fuss about that. So what I'm trying to get to you here is that the feedback we create on their writing is very scalable. It's about the level that they're at and the level they should be at, and we try and close the gaps for you. Now, this is the sort of thing that you spend all weekend doing, saying, that's a really long sentence. You would get out your pen or whatever, and you'd write this in the side. This is a very long sentence. If you can shorten or split up into 2. We did that for you in a click. Okay, the students know that's the feedback on that sentence, and if they don't know how to fix that, they can right click and get some help from the system, the AI, as to how to go about rewriting that. Okay, so you're out of the loop. You don't have to do this anymore. You can see what we're telling students, fragmented sentences. You can see where we think you could combine some simple sentences. All of this feedback is very particular to the students. It changes for every student. Every student writes differently. Every student should be getting and does get different feedback. Okay? So from a teaching perspective, all I wanted to show you was you walk into the room, you know exactly who started, who hasn't started, where they're at and where they're going, and you can hone in on any person you like. And even if they haven't been scored yet, you can click the AI and it will automatically score that essay against your rubric. Okay? It believes that this student here is scoring 3s all the way through the essay. Now, we've calibrated this with hundreds of rubrics, thousands of teachers. The AI is pretty sharp. It's not as sharp as a human. It's not cognitive like a human, but I tell you what, it's 80% of the time, it's right on the marking. Now, if you want to override that, you have all the power to say, don't agree, that's a 4, that's a 4, that's the way I want to do it. That's fine. You are in charge, okay? But in terms of getting through a class of 30 students with active feedback, with directional feedback on what they should be doing next, with grading and rubric support, and knowing where everybody's at any one time, that is Scribo from a teacher's perspective. From a student's perspective, they, on the other side of this, have exactly the same feedback. Exactly the same level of feedback, but they can see it, depending on their age, in a more fun way. Okay, so if you've got some, from year 4 up to sort of year 8, year 9. We've even got year 10 students that enjoy using it this way, and they can swap out their little avatar to Busy Bees, or put their own little avatar in there. We have some schools that have their own hero, like a flying, sausage dog or something. It doesn't matter, but it's all about engagement, right? And the thing about writing is you can never leave one behind. If you leave someone behind, they've been left behind. They don't think they can do it. So you've got to have this connection. You've got to be able to create an environment for them, and you have to be able to connect with them. And that's what we're doing with you. All right. So from a student's perspective here, they get to see, it rolls out nicely and says, this is where you're at. The teacher's given you a grade. You can still improve it if you want, and you go through how to improve. Now, we don't do the classic, spell checking thing where you just underline things, you right click and you accept anything. We make you stop and think about what the suggestion is and why you should be thinking about this, okay? And if you accept it, we record it. So I'll accept some of these changes here. As a result, that's a good change. Everything I'm doing is being tracked in my history, okay? So Literatu and Scribo tracks the history. We track everything. Before, it was in effect as a result. After I use Scribo, as a result. So I can track back how the system has helped me improve. Teachers can see how much the system has helped the students improve. It's a very transparent place where there's no secrets. Teachers and students are on the same page, which is so important. Okay, so some things that students really like about this is they read their story to them. So, writing is a multimodal talent, multimodal skill. You can't just sit and write. You have to take stimulus from all around you. And one of the big stimulus for writing is reading. Yeah, and reading gives you more language. Language gives you pronunciation, confidence. They all come together, but you've got to try and maximize the benefit of these things as they're happening in the classroom. So this is our reader, and it sits inside. So I could look at, because a lot of our friends tonight are from the Philippines, I can convert this if I'm really not confident in English, but I'm very, Filipino is my native language. I've now got my essay translating with me. Okay, so ancient is that word in Tagalong. So all of these tools are here. The kids love this, and the parents love it too, because the kids go home from school and say, I wrote this today. The parents don't have English skills. So the students go, here you go, Mum, that's what I wrote today. It's a great connector into the whole, education sort of landscape that students live in. So there's this. There's the ability to read this thing. Now, I'm not sure if you can hear this. I know I can share sound on Zoom. I'm not sure if I can share sound here. But
yeah, Mark, if you want to share the sound, there's a sound setting here in StreamYard, and I guess this would read the text back to you, right?
Yeah, really well, yeah.
You would have to stop sharing, and then when you click present, there is an option to add sound.
Right, let me see. StreamYard. When I present,
share screen, and then when it shows you that menu, there's share tab audio checkbox on the lower left of the small window. So before you share the screen, you check the share tab audio.
I just can't see that share tab audio.
So when you click present,
hang on, we'll go back.
And then it gives you
present.
Yeah. And then it shows you various options. On the lower left of that window, there's share tab audio. If it's a Chrome tab.
Yeah, no, it's not there.
Yeah, so you can only share audio if it's in the same tab as your screen.
Oh, okay. Yeah, right. I get you. Okay, well, that's
anyway.
That's
we presume that we can hear the audio. It'll read back to you in a voice, right?
Yeah, it will read, and you can choose the language, so it has those influences. So you don't, if you want to improve student pronunciation and vocabulary, you can read it back in a very nice English or Australian accent, so they get a very clear pronunciation. But the point to make here is that students, will hear their mistakes before they see their mistakes. Okay, if you spent hours writing this text here, you don't see the mistakes. Many people will write for an email for half an hour and still not see the typo, but when it gets read back to them, they can hear the typo. So that interactive multimodal experience is really strong, and it does influence writing. It does improve writing, and it's one of the things that students like very much the most. So you're a student, you don't need to keep putting your hand up all the time. If you want to put your hand up, you've got a good question. You don't understand what it's telling you about this sentence type variety. Okay, well, I've got a lot of paragraphs where all the sentences are simple. What should I do? That's a great question for a teacher, right? It's a really good question, because teachers would love that question, because the students diagnose the problem. They know exactly what they need to do, but they're not quite sure how to move forwards. That's where a teacher comes in, right? That's the joy of teaching. So that is all kind of delivered for students in a really nice little way in Scribo. And of course, there's much more that the software can do. But at the end of the day, what I really wanted to just show you is that, a teacher that walks into a class and boom, you're in the room. Okay, you've got all of these really quick access tools to see what Julie's doing, what anyone's doing. And if you wanted to give a commentary, you simply highlight, right click, say comment, turn your microphone on, talk away and say, this is a really great opening sentence. I love what you're doing here. Keep going. That audio file's been delivered live to the student space. Okay, so we are connected. Okay, we've created the context, we've connected the students into it. We're all together in the one spot. And I'm not clicking around, overly clicking here. It's not too hard to run around on this one. The next thing you want to do is calibrate. Okay, and you want to know how we're doing. When are the students actually writing? What is happening with grammar? Are we growing with our grammar skills over time, by week, by month, by activity? There's a lot of calibration that we do here. So was your lesson or lessons, were they effective? Yes, we can tell you. Okay, break it down really quickly for you by class, by year, by subject, by student. So it's really simple to move around in the analytics side of things. And of course, the great joy that everyone loves as a teacher is being able to send students home with a report in one click. Okay, we write some of the best writing reports, honestly. We can put all the options of what you can put in your report are here. And you can print the rubric score. So this one's scored by rubric. So down the bottom here, there will be the rubric. Okay, so it does everything. It does all the feedback. It does suggestions. It's beautiful. And all you have to do is download this student report. If a parent's concerned or something, just email to the parent, and they just think you're the most fabulous teacher in the world because you spent all that time writing that beautiful report for them. Okay, so it's about speed. This is the additional instructor side of the whole thing, right? So that's what we call a very quick introduction to Scribo. Create, connect, calibrate, and coach. You know exactly where you need to coach. Now, let's have some fun with the creation side. I left that to last because I think it's the most fun because, yep.
Mark, if I may interject here while you're setting that up, there's one question here from the Mentimeter. The question here is, will this app address all the macro skills of language learning?
All the macro skills. So there's, I guess the answer to that is, there's a lot of research around the skill sets. There's the product approach, which is, like you present the way the products need to be created. So it's an analytical deep dive into, genre, skills, voice, tones, all those sorts of things. And then there's the process of writing, which is, the clarity around language, grammar, spelling, punctuation, sentence structures. This is the sort of yin and yang of product and process. Yeah. It's a great question because product is something that the AI, I didn't show you the AI, but it's good to show you. This essay here, if I want to look at the process side of it, I can enact a conversation with AI. And for example, show you ways to improve this text. So, the first paragraph technically might be fine in terms of sentence diversity, lexical density, all of those sort of process elements. But the AI is saying we need to clarify the purpose of the scarab and how it works to prevent the person from being betrayed. It's read into the intent, the product side of the writing, right? So the answer to the question is yes.
Yes. So this is showing how the AI is actually giving feedback about the content that has been written here, right?
Yeah.
And that's
yeah.
the AI kind of giving some sort of insight, and then it's up to the teacher to use this or not use this or qualify it.
Well, this can be one more click that could be sent as feedback to a student.
Hmm.
Okay.
And
So
going back to the question, then addressing the macro skills of language learning, as you mentioned, right? So composition, content, punctuation, grammar, all those things. So depending on those macro skills, uh, I mean, as teachers, I guess we can use various tools. This is just showing us, Scribo is just showing us all the other tools that are possible to kind of, target or specify what macro skills you want the students to learn.
yeah, and it's all about driving it with clarity. So engaging
Hmm.
students in. Let me show you from a student side. It's not just about writing; it's about setting students up for writing. Okay, so you can't just
Hmm.
say like when my sons went to school, he's come home with a blank piece of paper, and the instruction was write a story. It was never going to happen, right? Because they didn't even know what to do next. So when you get into this setting students up for success, you have to take them along a process which is scaffolded. And you're going to need, in your classroom, you're going to have some students who are really quite intuitive writers who need more of a challenge theme in their writing, and you're going to have some that need to have the basics recounted to them for quite a few weeks and months
Hmm.
until they get the process under control. This
Hmm.
is you can see here, the pedagogy, the writing is on the left, the pedagogy and the process is on the right. So we help them plan their position. So we help encourage them to make notes in their little cards here.
Hmm.
And we don't sort of like get them into the big load of writing until they've done some planning, until they've thought about how to build an argument, how to support their position. And, it comes down to how teachers use this in a pedagogical way, because if you shouldn't start writing on the left until you've really got your mindset and your momentum going on the right-hand side. Okay. It's like
Yeah.
the left brain, right brain kind of thing. You've got to understand the elements of what you're being asked to do. You have to have supporting environments. You have to have suggested vocabulary. You have to have all of these things in place to get students in the zone where they can start planning how they're going to write on the left-hand side. And the two have to travel together. So it's the whole idea of Scribo. It's not just about the mechanics of writing and the judgment of that. It's about the process of writing and how you engage people in that process.
Yeah, I like what you said about the scaffolding. So, even as teachers and educators, whether we're, let's say, very experienced or trying something new, I think in Acadesia, we have courses about scaffolding and building your courseware. Similarly, Scribo is showing us that you can apply this very specifically to language studies and English writing, and it gives you all the tools. And later on, towards the end, we have about 15 minutes left, but we can show you how you can access all the materials that Mark is sharing with us today, how you can possibly embed this in any courses that you build in Acadesia or in any other LMS or software that you use. So this is really cool stuff. Hopefully it makes the grading and feedback system much easier. So Mark, please continue.
Yeah, great. Okay, thanks very much. So what I'm going to do now is create something. Okay, now these are all little what we call prestos. The whole idea of a presto is to do something really fast. It's all about engagement, and it's all about you. All right. So we might want to have a first image on our page. Might be we want to just have something about being fast. So let's put a taco on our page, right? Boom, we're engaged already. The next thing we might want to do is put an image in here, an image of a koala, and say, what is this? Okay, straight away, I've now got 1, 2 cards. I'm into my whole engagement model. The next thing I might want to do is give some text to students. and the heading might be, animals in the wild. I guess I don't have to type in front of you. You get what I'm saying here. The templates that we have here to engage and create and catch content are incredibly quick and effective, and very intuitive and very easy to create. We even have video links into YouTube for education. So if you wanted to go into here and search for Australia koala, all of the videos that have been rated by YouTube as being appropriate, ad-free, education only, boom, I've now got a video in here on the koala. Okay, so I've got incredible amount of resources here to bring in and organize how I want to scaffold, how I want to engage the students, and these get distributed at the speed of this. So I'll just put this on the web right now to everybody in Acadesia. If you take a picture of that QR code right now, you'll see my really fast course on your phone or on your screen. If you want to put it on your computer, I'll put it in a private chat, and maybe you could relay that for me. Okay.
Yeah, we can probably post a link in the chat, but I've tried it.
Yeah.
I scanned it on my phone, and I see it on my browser, so I can actually see the slides and the cards you've created here.
It's there
using the app.
So
yeah.
So we've moved past doing things in paper. We've now into doing things without that big heavy PowerPoint thing. PowerPoint doesn't really condense down to be agile and phone and tablet and mobile friendly. It doesn't move at the speed that we've just moved, and that's just content. What if I wanted to get some assessment in here? So why not have a multiple choice question and talk it? Do you think that Acadesia is an amazing professional development platform? Okay. Now, we'll have to help it with Acadesia because it's never heard of that before. But, obviously, yes, no, and yes. We've now got an assessment built in to our profile. So we're not only delivering content, we're shaping assessment around it. And in terms of assessment, we can have multiple choice, all of the modalities that you would come across. We even have speaking, okay? So if you want to run some speaking sessions in the class, a koala
is a fast animal.
There you go. They're actually not. They're very slow.
No, they're quite slow.
But here we go. I can do this in class. A koala is a very fast animal. Okay, AI will say, well done. In terms of CEFR rating, you nailed it. But I was lazy with the A. I could have made more an emphasis on the start of my sentence. Okay. So,
interesting. It grades how you speak.
It grades how you speak. It grades how you write. It grades how it grades everything about you. Reading, writing, comprehension, listening, speaking. It's all built into the modalities of Presto, and it's up to it. It's just a really fabulous way for a teacher to engage their students and get things going. Now, I just want to show you one thing in the last run here. I'm going to create something. I'm just going to grab a topic here. Save me typing it. Just say we wanted to have the students write about the final year of Kennedy's we'll call it JFK. Okay, so I'm going to go into what we call turbo mode, and I'm going to create a writing scaffold, and my writing scaffold is going to be about explore Kennedy's accomplishments in the final year of his presidency. We want the scaffold to be appropriate for year 10 class. All you have to do okay, here's my scaffold. So I'll just preview it for you. JFK. Okay, we start with here. If you don't know anything about Kennedy, this is where I want you to all start, right? So this is the research project on the go right now. His accomplishments, legacy final years. If you change your topic, if you change the way you request that information, it will change the level of information it will give back to you. So it's using all the buzz that's been around GPT and chat, GPT chat, this is exactly the engine that's using. It's using the GPT-3 engine. Okay, so it is actually aware of pretty much the entire internet. And if you want to change that first card there and say, I want a picture of JFK. There we are. I now have my writing scaffold ready for my class today, and it's set to go. I can share now. Watch how I can share this. If I assign this to a class, okay, and my class is called Sample, I can actually put it out to Google Classroom, Microsoft Teams, Twitter, Facebook, WhatsApp, embed it in Acadesia or anywhere else, or my LMS, or just copy a code and give the kids a link.
Yeah, so that makes it really convenient to share what you created.
Yep. The JFK scaffolding is done. It took me 30 seconds. So here would be the pedagogy. You would go into your class and everybody would have this. We'd start them working. We'd say, okay, make some notes. Don't start writing yet. Okay, no one's writing yet. Let's research. Let's make some notes. Let's get our minds. How we're going to attack this essay. And you start building the momentum of engagement. Okay, now that's taking notes. Now, when you're ready, you can go and edit this course, okay, and add a card at the back called a Scribo writing card. And this will create and link it to Scribo, okay? So that's what we're going to be calling it. Where'd it go? There we are. The keywords, JFK, you know what, you could type keywords in there. You want 300 words. You want at least 5 paragraphs. You want the subject to be history. Or, you could call it whatever you like. But if you say history, we start looking for historical words that they get to use. It's in year 12. It's an advanced level. It's an informative writing type. That's the genre. We're done. Okay? We're absolutely done. So when the students preview this, they now click one button, and they're into Scribo. And remember I had the cards of Learn to Cook beside me? Remember that screen where writing was on the left and the direction was on the right?
Yes.
What we're going to do here is we're going to take all the notes that they've been working on in your class with you for maybe a few days. We're getting them ready to write. We're getting them in the zone where they're researching. We're moving them through the writing process into where we can actually then start calibrating how they're technically answering the question, how their speech, their spelling, grammar, punctuation, sentence, all that is being done. So it's a complete sort of writing immersion. And of course, we did that I timed it, that was in 4 minutes.
That's really amazing. And it just shows as long as even if you have a particular topic, so for our educators out there, I'm sure you have your syllabus that you have to accomplish per year. This actually allows you to kind of make it easy to scaffold and build content fairly quickly and embeddable in Acadesia or any other LMS you use. And this allows you also to grade and connect it to the Scribo app so that you can actually do assessments and a feedback. So this is fantastic, Mark. We're kind of almost out of time. Is there anything else you'd like to share before I bring in Jake and tackle a couple more questions here?
Assessments, right? Now you could construct any sort of assessment thing you want, but if you want multiple choice answers for year 4 little guys, we're teaching them about frogs. Okay, that's all you have to tell it. And it'll construct 4 little questions, appropriate age level, about frogs. All you have to do is throw a couple of pictures in there and you're done. So it'll create this whole sort of content stream for you. Now you've got full edit rights here. You can change anything you like or don't like. Put pictures in here, make it funny, etc. It's about having the work being done for you.
So the system actually, if I wanted, let's say it's a biology class, I want to talk about frogs, it generated the questions for me. Is that what it did? For
year 4 students, yeah. If I said year 12, it would say, what's the metabolic rate of a frog, right? Different levels of questions. So it's responsive to all of this sort of thing. And this is the AI. This is this is just so assistive, because of course you could do that yourself. You could Google it and you could find it, and you could write a multiple choice question in Google Classroom. But by the time you did that, you'd be late home for dinner, right? This is in the zone. It's saved. It's shared. You can share it with your friends down the road. It's in the library. It's off.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Mark. I know there's a lot more features here, but we're
Out of time.
running out of time, right? So I'm gonna bring in Jake again if he's back here. If you have any, Jake, maybe I can start with you. There are a couple of questions in the chat I want to share with Mark, but maybe I can ask you from a Philippine context perspective, especially. Um, it looks amazing, right? But what do you think about applying it in the Philippine context? So if can you give some input on how this can also be useful, even for just lesson plan building, even if they have basic resources, what this software can help them with?
Right, absolutely. Mark, this is amazing. Yeah, it's a reading, and English teacher's dream come true. I
Yeah.
remember, Roy, when I was a new English teacher and I was
Mm,
requiring students to write essays or compositions. So there were
mm,
two pre-drafts before the final draft had to be written.
Yeah.
And for each draft, I had to literally have a physical page of the rubric beside the essay or the submission of the student. And I had to refer to the rubric all the time for each
mm.
student. And in the class, I had what? I had 30 to 35 students. I had three classes at the time.
There
So
you
it was
Mm,
go.
an exhausting process. And it was also expected of teachers to share with the kids and their parents the level of progress that the students did from draft to the draft.
Yep.
So when Mark was explaining
mm.
about the three panel view, about how the scoring is made against the rubric, and as I saw, the coverage of corrections is quite comprehensive based on what skills are being assessed depending on the grade or year level. It's something that will really absolutely definitely help our teachers here. So to do away with that whole manual process of checking essays with Scribo, all that can be done so effectively and efficiently. And it will definitely help not just the teachers, but of course the students as well.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. And for those, let's say, if you this is the first time you're seeing kind of tools like this, it also helps structure your scaffolds, right? So I like what Mark was saying earlier about whether there's a beginner English learner who's a bit slower, you can have one set of scaffolds for that level of learner. But if you have an advanced English student who goes through it very quickly, you can have another set of scaffolds for those faster learners. And again, the objective at the end of the semester or the period is you kind of have let's say they're all year four students, more or less similarly capable of that English learning outcome at that time. They might
Right.
obviously be faster students than others, but at least kind of make the gap a little bit closer.
Yeah.
But then you as the teacher, you would have had to pre-construct the scaffolds ahead, and then you just feed them the scaffolds. That way, they can actually learn on their own and try to catch up on their own without you having to kind of micromanage or go to each individual student. I think this is
Right.
one of the
Yeah.
interesting things that a tool, using AI, using technology can help assist teachers. It's like having a instead of a human teaching assistant, you have an AI teaching assistant helping you with all these things. Because as a teacher, you know what your objectives are. This kind of just speeds up your work. A couple of questions here for you, Mark. Very key questions, really quickly, rapid fire.
Yep.
Is this app available on iOS and Android? And how much is it? Is it free? I guess those are
Okay.
the questions here in the
So
in the chat.
there's
Yeah.
two platforms. Remember I said there's Scribo, there's Presto, Scribo. You can basically get going with Presto absolutely free. Now, when the way that it works, okay, is you get access to create all sorts of activities except speaking. Speaking is quite an expensive AI, right? But
Hmm.
that gives you the ability to create a lot of modalities, a lot of interactions. But when you share and assign, you can only assign one activity at a time. Okay, that's the only limitation with the free one, is there's no speaking, and you can only assign one activity at a time. So if you're happy with that, Presto is free to go. So there's nothing stopping everybody registering, creating some stuff, getting it out to the class, either anonymous or asking them for their name, putting the QR code on the whiteboard, and getting into it and seeing how it goes. Nothing stopping you.
All right, that's great. Okay, so that's a fantastic demo. It's great, and all of this, of course, can be embedded in Acad Asia if you're using Acad Asia
Yeah.
as LLMS, and of
Yeah.
course any other tool or solution. This is fantastic, Mark. Let me just get right into the housekeeping because we're out of time. Feel free to comment again if we have anything left. I'll just come back to you with the final thoughts. So I'll share my screen this time, if you'll allow me, Mark, to share my
Course.
screen. Thank you. Let me just go to my window. So again, just some reminders for our Acad Asia community. There is an accompanying course that comes with our Technology Tuesday session today using Literato and Scribo for your English classes. So make sure to go to acadasia.com and sign in. If you have not created an account yet, make sure to create a teacher account. And then once you create and activate your account, you go to your profile. Make sure you complete all the information needed, identity proof, whether it's your PRC teacher's license or your government ID or your staff ID at your school. Just make sure to upload an identity proof. And of course, name your institution. Let's say what school you're from. There's a drop down here, education stage. Make sure to complete all the required profile information just so that we know that you're educators. And then go to SkillEd. Let's see if we can refresh the page here and see we have the course here using Literatu to teach English. So make sure to click on this and then enroll in the course. Once you're able to enroll in the course, you can rewatch the recording of the session. There'll be some assessments given. And then, of course, inside the session here, we also have all the content that has been shared by Mark. So his slides and the Literatu links to the cards and the Presto presentations will be included here. Don't forget, if you're in the Philippines, there will be also PRC points, CPD points awarded if you complete this course and this session. Make sure to fill in the attendance form once you've completed all the assessments by January 16, 2023. And the first 5,000 qualified completers will be able to get CPD points as a certificate from the PRC for this training program for this course. And of course, here we'll also be showing you, I guess, how we can actually embed Literato and Scribo. When you use, let's say, DesignEd, we have our very easy to build course builder here. And as you're building courses with us, it's easy for you to embed the actual embed code of Scribo or Literato inside the course if you would like to. Okay, so a couple of other reminders again for our course this week. This is how you can earn your certificate and get CPD points for it. Next week, we have for Acad Asia Teacher Spaces Thursdays, January 19. We'll be inviting our friends also from Literato Scribo again to share how using AI can be used to support my teaching. We have a great speaker, Ms. Catherine, who'll be joining us. And then another reminder, if you're going through SkillEd, if you search through the different courses, we'd like you to search either cultural for our course from Nian Polytechnic, Cultural Intelligence for Educators. And then if you also search for coaching and mentoring for educators, these are free courses. This is brought to you in partnership with Nian Polytechnic CET Academy, based out of Singapore. These are free professional development courses. You will earn a certificate from Singapore Nian Polytechnic by enrolling in these courses and completing them. So we encourage them while they're free. Please onboard and sign up in addition to our Literato course for this week, Cultural Intelligence for Educators and Coaching and Mentoring for Educators, brought to you by Nian Poly. Okay, so again, this is a great course from Literato. Mark, thank you so much. Any final thoughts we'd like to share? I guess Mark or Jake on our session today. Maybe I'll start off with Mark first for our final thoughts for this session, Technology Tuesday, and followed by Jake. Mark, your final thoughts.
My final thoughts, same as last week. Be brave. AI is working for you. It's your additional instructor. So don't be scared.
Fantastic. Yes, be brave. Try it out. Try all these new amazing technologies. Jake, your final thoughts for the session.
Yeah, I just like to echo what Mark mentioned earlier. The corrections that are being recommended by AI actually will make students stop and think about them. So it's not spoon feeding the students. AI will not do the job for them. It still falls well within our goal of really making the students learn and teaching them the best way we can.
Exactly, yeah. Well said.
Fantastic. Okay. Thank you for your final thoughts, gentlemen. Again, on behalf of ACAD Asia and on Mark of Literato Scribo, I'm Roy Platon. Thank you so much for joining us Technology Tuesday. Take all these free courses that as much as you can, earn your CPD points for Philippines, and we'll see you next week for ACAD Asia Teacher Spaces Thursdays. Thank you so much, everybody. Take
Bye,
care.
everybody.
Good night. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to ACAD Asia. ACAD Asia is a Singapore-based impact-driven edtech startup that empowers the largest online community of education institutions and educators in Asia to upskill and reskill themselves to improve the learning outcomes for their 21st century learners. On acadasia.com, educators can access 4 specific services. First, Calibrate, a social networking service that empowers education institutions to build their international network from all over Asia, and where individual educators can join a wide range of communities of teaching learning practice and engage in peer-to-peer learning. Second, Skill Ed, a professional development service that empowers educators to upskill and reskill themselves by accessing more than 1,000 hours of professional development content, all with formal CPD accreditations. In addition to this, academic managers from education institutions can track, measure, and improve the efficacy of all professional development that their faculty access on the platform, thus leading to better learning outcomes for their students. Third, Design Ed, the easiest course builder on the planet. In 5 simple steps, this service empowers educators to build fun, engaging, and quality content for their learners. Furthermore, third-party tools like Canva, Google, etc. are fully integrated right into Design Ed. Fourth, Certify Ed, a digital credentialing service that empowers education institutions to design, award, and track fully verifiable and tamper-proof digital micro-credentials and certificates on the blockchain. Join the largest community of educators in Asia who are already using the platform and sign up for your free lifetime membership at www.acadasia.com today.